Look, I welcome this debate. It's very short and it's very hard to get all the points across in the limited time we have. But I just want to say that this is a significant change in government policies proposed here, which I very much support. In fact, I've been campaigning for a number of years now on compulsory purchase of vacant homes by local authorities and a tax on empty homes. And I want to welcome the commitment to introduce a new programme for the CPO of vacant properties for resale on the open market. The shining example of this work has been done in Louth County Council, where I understand from meeting on Monday that I think up to 120 homes over a period of about 2 years that were derelict, that were lying empty, that were burnt out in some cases, abandoned centres of antisocial behaviour, have been completely refurbished and taken over, and that families are in them now, families living full and decent lives in accommodation that is up to standard and up to scratch. I believe this programme must be driven, I believe, Minister, by the department. You need somebody in the department that's making sure that those guys, or whoever they are, the so-called vacant homes officers, are actually doing their job. Because the facts are, up to now, they have not been. Very few of the councils who were given 50,000 each for vacant home officers, I think about 2 years ago, are actually doing that job. So it's time for the local authorities to step up to the mark. And they're not the saints. I think in many cases, many of them are sinners in relation to housing. And they've been very reluctant to get involved, unlike, like I say, Louth County Council, which has done a fantastic job. I also feel it's very important that there's accountability and that we have a quarterly report on that through the Minister's office here in the Oireachtas to see what has happened, who's doing what and who isn't doing what, and that you put the boot in, Minister, if they're not doing their job. I would also like to point out that the NAMA offered some years ago over 4,500 houses free of charge for local authorities up and down the country. And of those houses that they refused to accept, many of them in Dublin City and Council, over 1,500 homes, they refused to accept homes that would have put people. Because why? Because they didn't want social housing, or there was too much social housing there. And that went back down to the councillors on the ground, and it wasn't the people in here that made that decision, it was the county councillors and the council officials who were complicit, I believe, in that, which we think was appalling and wrong. The other campaign I've been strong on is taxing of empty homes. And I think this is a tax which I welcome the commitment to introduce it. I would prefer it would be in this budget rather than next year's. And I think that if you look at what's happened in other jurisdictions, look at Vancouver, for instance, this is a tax that you don't want an income from because you want the empty home to be actually occupied. So you have strategies to ensure that if somebody has an empty home, that you're going to put a big tax on them if they don't actually occupy it or put somebody into it. And there are significant exclusions for that, and one of them would be if somebody is in a nursing home, if it's a principal private residence, and so on. But if we don't tackle the empty homes, and there's nobody here who doesn't walk streets or drive around country lanes where houses have been vacant for 15, 20 years with nobody in them, that we don't put manners on these people and force them because they cannot hold on to a resource that the people need. And by taxing them and hitting them hard in the pocket, if they don't do that, with the, as I said, the exceptions, there are 6 in Vancouver, we could have exceptions here, that we will make sure that those empty homes are actually occupied and full. And that, I believe, is the way forward. There's one further short point I want to make. I understand the amendment to the nursing home support scheme, and I don't have an issue in principle with saying that if somebody is in a nursing home, and I believe they should be exempt anyway, whether their home is occupied or not, to the vacant homes tax. But you need the consent of the person involved prior to them entering into that home. Because many people have dementia and they have serious, obviously, other medical issues and may not be in an appropriate position to make a proper judgment on this. So I think it's important that you would liaise with those people who are in advocacies for older people in particular, like SAGE and so on, that there would be a process by which there would be accountability for every action that was taken. And I just want to make the point that while the vast majority of people honour and respect their older family members, there is abuse, there is financial abuse, and we have to make sure that that doesn't happen. And we have to make sure that those older people who are going into a home they may never actually ever come out of, that the appropriate decision-making is there, whether it's a living will or whatever. But I do welcome this debate. I would love to have a further, longer debate with the Minister. I congratulate the determination and the commitment of the Government. But from my perspective, as a government backbencher, as you know, Minister, I'll make sure that you are listening to me this time, and I welcome that, and I hope you guys will continue to listen to backbench, because we all share in the same demand that our people are housed and that young people in particularly can get their first step on the housing ladder, which has been denied them under present circumstances.